Hello students, today we're going to look at writing quadratic equations in vertex form. What's vertex form, you might ask? Well, that's a great question. First of all, let's kind of do a quick review. We know that standard form of a quadratic is ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, that's standard form, and usually it's y equals, sorry I forgot that, or f of x equals. Okay, that's the standard form of a quadratic function. Now, vertex form of a quadratic function is just that. It takes the vertex and plugs that into a special equation so that you can quickly tell what the vertex is of your quadratic. Okay, and here is what vertex form looks like. Okay, vertex form is y equals a, and that's the same a as an ax squared plus bx plus c, times the quantity of x minus h squared, binomial squared, plus k. And I bet you're rolling your eyes because we had two more letters, h and k. Where in the world did h and k come from? Well, h and k are the vertex of the parabola. Okay, so h comma k is the vertex. Notice it's x minus h and plus k. H is inside the parentheses, k is outside. So you kind of need to know, just like you know y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, you need to know that the vertex form is y equals a times the quantity of x minus h squared plus k. Okay? So, why would we ever use this? Because sometimes it's easier to write the equation if we already know the vertex than to come up with all these other kinds of things that we have to do in order to write the equation of a parabola that we have. Okay? Let's look at that for example. So let's say that I have 2 points. Okay? One of them is the vertex and one of them is a point. And we want to write the equation of the parabola in either vertex form and then switch it to standard form. So I'm going to kind of kill two birds with one stone right here. Okay, so I'm going to erase, no I'm not. So I'm going to say that the vertex is -3, 2. And I'm going to say that the point on the line, or on the parabola, is -2, 1. Okay? Now remember, if this is the vertex, it's -3, 2, then this is h and k. And since this is a point on the parabola, we know that this is x and y. So we're going to look at our equation, y equals a times the quantity of x minus h squared plus k. The only thing we don't know right now is the a. So we've got to figure out what is a. Well, you remember a long time ago when we were doing linear equations and we were trying to find the y-intercept b, we had to plug in everything else and then we could solve for b. That's exactly what we're going to do here, except we're going to do it for a. I'm going to plug in the x and the y and the h and the k, and we're going to find a, and then I can rewrite my equation in vertex form. So let's do that. I know my vertex is -3, 2, h and k, point is -2, 1, x and y. So let's write this down. So instead of y, I'm going to put 1 equals a, I'm still looking for it, x is -2, and then minus h minus -3 is the same as plus 3 squared, and then plus k, which would be plus 2. Okay? So I have the x, the y, the h, and the k plugged in. Now I'm going to solve for a. So 1 equals a times -2 plus 3 is 1 squared plus 2. Now I know that 1 squared is 1, so all I have is 1 equals a plus 2. Move 2 to the other side, so a equals -1. So I just figured out from all of this that a equals -1. Now I'm going to plug the h and the k and the -1 in to get my equation in vertex form. So I have y equals -1 times the quantity of x we get, remember, minus h would be minus negative 3, would be plus 3 squared, and then plus k. And that is the equation of the parabola that has a vertex of negative 3, 2, and passes through the point negative 2, 1. And you're thinking, wow, that's awesome. How do I get to standard form? Well, I'm so glad you asked, but I want to switch markers for that one. To get to standard form now, what I do is I expand what I already have. Okay? So, I'm first going to have to square x plus 3 so that I can continue to work on. So I know that I have y, well, that marker's dead. I know that I have y equals negative 1, and what is x plus 3 squared? If you need to go to the side to do x plus 3 times x plus 3, or you can do a shortcut, which is x squared. 3 times x is 3x, and then double it, plus 6x. And then 3 squared is 9, plus 9, plus 2. Okay? So I just took x plus 3, and I squared it and got that in parentheses. Now I've got to distribute the negative 1 to everything. So y equals negative x squared minus 6x minus 9 plus 2. Now I combine like terms. Y equals negative x squared minus 6x minus 7, because negative 9 plus 2 is negative 7. So the equation of the parabola that has a vertex of negative 3, 2 and passes through negative 2, 1 in vertex form is y equals negative 1 times the quantity of x plus 3 squared plus 2. But in standard form, it's y equals negative x squared minus 6x minus 7. Now that was so much fun, let's try another one. Because I know it's new, let's just get it solidified. Okay? So let's say I have a parabola that has a vertex of 1, negative 3 and passes through the point 3, 5. Let's write the equation of that parabola. Now sometimes they'll be given to you like this, and sometimes they'll give you actually a graph of a parabola, and you've got to find the vertex and you've got to find a point that it passes through. So they might not always give you this, but they'll give you a picture and you can find it out in the picture. Okay? So let's label what we have, because it's always important to label. That's easier when we're plugging stuff into the vertex form. So this is the vertex, so this has to be h and this has to be k. H is 1, k is negative 3. And over here we have x and y. X is 3 and y is 5. So we're going to write our vertex equation form, which is y equals a times the quantity of x minus h squared plus k. Now let's plug in what we know. The y is 5. We're trying to find a. X is 3 and minus 1, because it's minus h and h is 1, so minus 1 squared. And it's plus k, but k is negative 3, so we're just going to do minus 3. Okay? With me so far? Now, let's do a little calculations. 5 equals a times 2 squared minus 3. Because 3 minus 1 is 2. So 5 equals 2 squared is 4, so 4a minus 3. Move the 3 to the other side. Now here's a trick. You could move the 3 to the other side whenever you want to. You don't have to wait till this step. If you want to do it first, you can, but here we are, so let's do it. So move the negative 3 to the other side, that becomes 8 equals 4a. So divide both sides by 4, and a equals 2. Okay? So now that a equals 2, we know that the vertex form of the equation is going to be y equals a, which is 2, times the quantity of x minus 1, because it's x minus h squared minus 3. That is the vertex form of the equation of the parabola. Now let's take one more step and let's put it in standard form. So y equals 2, and now I have to do x minus 1 squared. You can do that over on the side if you want to, but don't do that calculations right here. Do it on the side. Or you can follow the pattern of x squared, negative 1 times x is negative 1x, double that, negative 2x, and then negative 1 squared is plus 1 minus 3. Okay? Now, distribute. y equals 2x squared minus 4x plus 2 minus 3. Combine like terms, y equals 2x squared minus 4x minus 1. This is the equation in standard form. This is the equation in vertex form. Sometimes they'll ask you for vertex, sometimes they'll ask you for standard. If they ask you for standard, you got to find vertex first and then flip it to standard. The last thing I want to show you is how to take an equation or a function in standard form and convert that to vertex form. Okay? Standard form to vertex form. So let's say we're given a standard form equation of x squared plus 4x plus 3. Y equals x squared plus 4x plus 3. Okay? That's standard form, and it asks me to put this in vertex form. Okay? Well, what do I need to know to vertex form? A, right, and H and K, or the vertex. So, I know A. A is given to me here. Where's A? It's the coefficient of x squared. So in this case, A is 1. In this case, A is 1, so I'm going to write that over here. A equals 1. So now we have to find H and K, or the vertex. How do we find the vertex? Oh, man. Oh, yeah! Find the axis of symmetry equation, and then plug that in to find the y, and then now you're given the vertex, which would be the h and k, or the x and y. So let's do that. So we know that x equals negative b over 2a. And negative b would be negative 4 over 2 times 1, which equals negative 4 divided by 2, which is negative 2. So I know that h is negative 2. Now let's find k. I'm going to plug that negative 2 into the equation. So y equals negative 2 squared plus 4 times negative 2 plus 3. I just plugged in the negative 2 for the x's. Because x is negative, then I have to put it in parentheses before I square it. So y equals 4 minus 8 plus 3. And now 4 minus 8 is negative 4. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. So y equals negative 1. So k equals negative 1. So I have a, h, and k. I plug those into the vertex form, and I'm given vertex form. So let's do that. So y equals a, which is 1, or you could just leave it without 1 on this case. But just because practice, let's do that. And then x minus h, a is negative 2, so I'm going to do plus 2. Squared, and then minus 1. So the standard form of the equation is x squared plus 4x plus 3. The vertex form of that same equation is y equals 1 times the quantity of x plus 2 squared minus 1. So in all of this, we've learned how to write an equation in vertex form when given the vertex and a point, take vertex form, convert it to standard form, and then take standard form and convert it back to vertex form. Those are the things that you might need to do. Again, all it takes is the vertex and one other point on the parabola to do all of this. Or an equation, and you can go back and find all of this. You got this. And here are the two problems that I want you to do before you come to Math Workshop. Okay? The first one is write the equation of the parabola in standard form if the vertex is negative 3, 2, and it passes through negative 1, negative 2. And I left an h off. Okay? The second one is convert to vertex form negative x squared plus 4x minus 1. Oh, sorry. That should be y equals negative x squared plus 4x minus 1. So do these two problems in your composition book and then be ready to show them to me when you come to Math Workshop.